Okay, hi everybody. Sorry, just turning down my music. I'm plugging away in the studio here. Okay, so hi, how are you? Yeah, hi Maria. Welcome aboard. Okay, so I put up today's suggestion for the page that we'll be working on. It's Sasquatch Civil War. The music of choice for today is the Talking Heads. Run, run, run away. Anyways, so there's today's page. This page is the one that I did yesterday during the stream. It was a lot of fun. It's very mixed media. It was on a piece of black construction paper. Let's switch the cameras. So this is the original here, and did it all on one surface, added in all kinds of extra papers and stuff like that I keep up here on hand in case I want to stick them down on anything. But the paper itself was black, and so it's adding a lot of white there, really. But, what are you going to do, right? Oh, there we go. Mariah loves the Talking Heads. Excellent, excellent. I can't get enough of them. They're a good fun band. They just sort of fit every mood, right? Problem is that you get carried away and you start dancing while you're listening to them, right? At least some of us do. Anyways, okay, so there's today's page, and I can show some of those details if people are still interested in that jazz. So in my zoom camera, you can see some of the friscolated values, some of the spattering that I did with the toothbrush, and then in the center panel, you can see some of that yellow tissue paper that was put in there, and some of the, I guess it's like a craft paper, and all throughout the composition, there's these little bits of tissue paper matted in. So good fun in the sun. But yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with the result, and yeah, a lot of fun to do. Silly story I put, of course, on it. But, that's what I do, right? Hi, Chris, welcome aboard. Oh, it's a Wednesday. You're visiting for a few minutes because Chris has still got crazy classes until Friday. Thank you for stopping in. Mariah says, that turned out very well. Thank you very much. It's nice, yeah. Okay, so Sasquatch Civil War is the suggested page for today. I've been having a lot of fun. I've been working pretty solidly. Like this is the page that I did 2 days ago on this 11 by 17 stock, and a lot of ink and stuff in there as well. And then of course working black into white, and then we did white into black. So now I thought, hey, let's do gray, because I'm complex like that. Also, I've got a couple other pages on the go. Just some sketching and stuff going on. This page is called Tickle Fight, from a suggestion about tickle fighting. Because people do that. Nothing wrong with that. Anyways, no judgment. So what am I missing? Turned out very cool. There's a furry war coming. Yeah. So I got a couple of fun pencils and stuff here. This is my dancing monkey. Hey, everybody, how you doing? So, yeah, we're going to just try some different stuff. I got some of these, watercolor brushes. I don't know what they're called. And good old Derwent. But I've got some different random leads. This is a solid lead stick with a lacquer finish on it. This is a construction pencil. I like drawing with those. This looks like it's another solid lead, but it's not. It's just gray wood. But it's an HB. And a Jelly Roll white, Tosca white. See what we do with it. But I thought what I would do is just get down to it and start throwing in some angry, fuzzy people, scrapping it out. So now today's page, the reason I got the circular device loaded up, I cannot remember a single word today. Protractor. No, probably not it. Anyways, doesn't matter. Is that I thought I would just draw a bunch of random circles on the page and start fitting our composition in and out of it, and having some fun. Of course, I made a mess of it already. Doesn't matter. I'm easier at freehanding these damn things anyways. Okay, so yeah, I got no peg in this one. I literally lost it just before the stream. Cockamamie circles, but the idea is there. So anyhow, so the idea initially is to just get down to drawing in our Sasquatches. Before I get to that, what I'm forgetting to do is a couple things to show you. One is our new logo. You can see up in the right corner. That's the logo for things moving forward. Lori said it needs to be legible, Christopher. So that's why our logo has changed, because I was using multiple fonts and being really artsy with it. And she said, enough of that. She's not wrong, right? So also the cover is together for the new book. So this is, I'm in the process of getting it all finished right now and very excited. And there's the back cover before all the text goes on with the logo on it. And so yeah, so there's your sneak peek, folks. Okay, so with all of that jazz in mind, let's get down to it. Hey, Linda, welcome aboard. So yeah, so the new book will have 60 images in it, 61 page pieces, and in the landscape format. And so you'll basically be reading it in landscape like this, but it's still cool. All the kids are still going to like it in the schoolyard. That's the hope. Okay, I thought I would just get down to being really loose and sloppy today. Now, there's an artist that I really enjoy named Karl Kopinski, and Karl Kopinski has this propensity for roughing in to the extent that he just throws shape language onto his page, and in the course of doing so, he builds up his composition there without having it to be these proper organic circles and squares and triangles, which is what I always advocate for people to assess their surroundings and try to break everything down into circles, squares, triangles. And once you can start doing that, then it's just practicing and putting a combination of those things together for you to be able to draw really anything in your environment. So, or anything in your imagination for that matter. So this is me putting together our first two Sasquatches. I'm going to try not to call them that. I'm going to try to say Sasquatches. But I just like the word Sasquatch so much. Okay, so we've got our first guy here. And the idea is his figure is this push line of tension as he's trying desperately hard to push this kid back. Get back, he says. So I'm not overly concerned about too much here as far as it goes for mark making, because it's going to be incorporated in, right? The fun thing about the exclusionary thing that I've set up for myself with how I do my mixed media approach is that I'm not overly worried about how I make marks on the page, because I'll take out and put back whatever I want anyways. I don't know how legible it is. Let me pop in to the other camera. I'm sorry. And I have the technologies in order to move this camera over. I might just put it on the right screen so that I'm not wasting all this time. There we go. Look at this action here. People are going to start thinking I'm organized. Okay, so really light and loose pencils, like I said, and it's entirely because I just want to break down the structural form, right? So these lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, that are scribbled across here, I haven't picked the one that I want to use yet. That necessarily isn't necessarily my immediate focus. I want to get the form in, right? So let's see what this guy does for us. Yeah, he's got a little more tooth to him. Okay. So now I'm just throwing down some tones. Now, tomorrow, my good friend Doug Rogers is coming to join me here in the studio. Very excited about that. And then on Friday, during the stream here, I will be doing a page on the adventures of P&M Studios, Art Studios. So stay tuned, exciting listeners. Okay, so I've got the gist of my two guys here now. Chris says, I keep thinking about Chewbacca when people mention Sasquatch. Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, lots of hearts. Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely. Okay, so I've got these two guys laid in. Now, I want to populate this a little bit more, but I will get to that in just a second. One of the things that I can do, I've got another lead that's a little bit darker, and I can get into putting together a little more information into this and start carving out some of their form. Because I made these decisions about the shape language is there, like there's the figures. Now it's just developing it a little farther out, right? So we'll put we're going to build this up in just a second. But I really just want to get together their forms as they're facing off against each other, more than I'm worried about all the details. I wanted to. Yesterday was a controlled day. Today is a crazy loose day. We're going to make lots of mess all over the paper, and then we're going to play with that surface. So Chris says, I can't be here tomorrow, but I have a free day on Friday, so I'll be watching. Super cool. Super cool. Let's see. Let's have elbow in here, and then some fingers in there. And then this will be his secondary arm. Shoulder developed up here. And then we've got, hey, I'm mad at you. No, I'm mad at you. Prominent brow ridge I've given this fella. Now, I did a book last year. Hold on one second. I got one around here someplace. I did a Sasquatch book last year. See if I can find one. Yeah, I got one here. So last year I did a Sasquatch book for Tardigrade Press. And so this is the cover of it. And it's basically a cat getting chased by a rather upset Sasquatch. And it's a continuation of a previous book that this company had put out. So there's your one-eyed Sam Squatch. And, this is a bad situation, right? So here's our guy, a miner, sees some terrible things. And, this guy notices him, so he starts booking it. And then it's a lot of pages of angry Sasquatches. But there's the cover was done in a watercolor on a really cool textured paper. and then the interior was drawn in color and inked, and then anyways. So that's what we're playing on here. Is some of these crazy kids, and I don't like you. I don't like you. You put your chocolate in my peanut butter. You put your peanut butter. Anyways, whatever they're arguing about, who knows? But here's the gist of it. Is that they're not getting along. So here's the start of our rather ill-tempered individuals. Now, I can get a little bit crafty, and so I'm going to throw down some ink here. So stay tuned for tomorrow's. Next 2 days are going to be some fun streams. Looking forward to them. And, we got Doug coming by tomorrow. That'll be exciting. This pen stinks. And then doing the page for PMR Studio is going to be fun on Friday. So here I am just taking my basic breakdown of a drawing and building in the rest of those details as I'm throwing the ink in. And then that way I don't get bored. I get bored if I've already drawn everything in the pencil, then when I'm inking, it's kind of a boring process to me. So I tend to rough in. If I'm going to do black and white stuff, you'll see it's either tight pencils that I can just digitally ink, or I'll just do all the details in the ink. But, there's a whole bunch of different ways that we can work on stuff. I'm always trying different methods and different mediums. So, Chris is going to stream with Miriam on Sunday. Woohoo! Crazy stuff as usual. 7 a.m. for those that are crazy. 8 a.m. EST. Both channels streaming at the same time. Cool. Friday, Maria and Patricia or Maria. Are they streaming with me? No. I'd love to have them. I don't know if Mariah has the schedule to it, but if you schedule the Friday stream earlier, I will make sure we give out the link in tomorrow's stream. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. But Mariah, you're always welcome. Anyhow, I don't know if Mariah is prepared for that level of Christopher craziness. Okay, so you can see how the form's going to come together, but I want to play a little bit before I get to. Yeah, I'll post it in the morning. So I got some watercolor, black watercolor going here, and so I'm just going to start to build up and develop some of the form this way now. And then we'll add this ink over top of it, because I don't believe it is good with water, the Fudenosuke pens. I'm not entirely sure right now. I don't remember. Well, it hasn't bled, so I guess it is. The reason that I'm doing this with the watercolor is that I like the roughness to it, and so as I'm putting down this rather hairy fella, this already defines some of the texture already. Oh, that's very nice of you. Big thumbs. And so this is just a watercolor that I'm applying. Now the shadow being on this side of him, and on this side of him, Jesus, where's our light source? Boy, I'm glad you guys asked. One of the things I like about these pens, by the way, clearly it's over here, sorry, is that as you're filling an area in and your value starts breaking down, you can squeeze the brush and, hey, more water immediately. You don't have to leave the paper or surface of whatever you're painting on. It's a lot of fun. So place, it's nothing. Okay, so we've started to really build up our guys and give them some shape. So I got my new desk chair. Tell us all about it, Chris, if you'd like. And I am like a 6 inches up above my board. Like raises me 3 feet up into the air, and I love it. I haven't been able to sit this high for a while. Chris says this image has a feeling of the Olympic Greek fighters, very civilized. Well, yeah, except for we're going to put some dirt and things flicking off them, and it's just a contrast of strength to start off with. But we're going to be putting more guys fighting in and around them as well. And as I drew in this book, I tend to draw the Sasquatches, let's say, ill-tempered and a little bit, spattered. So, but at the same time, I'm not interested in drawing gore in the projects that I'm working on. It's just not. But so I figure out ways to get around it. Here's a. Anyhow. But yeah, I can't remember who said it, but Sasquatches make me think of Chewbacca too. They just do. I think that might be kind of the reason it's Chewbacca. So I want to, as I put more of these combatants in the background, as much as these two guys are grabbing and facing off each other, I want to put a little more simian guerrilla pummeling actions and things like that. So but anyways, we're getting our first 2 combatants down. I just want to get some ink on these guys, and then we'll get right back into drawing the larger part of the composition. I know, it's this took forever, Chris. What are you doing? Hurry it up, pencil boy. And then with the color, I can punch this even harder with the shadows and so on. So it's more like a cat fight. Lots of threatening signs, but mostly fur flying around. Some cats fight. Cats can be nasty. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's if they're gonna fight, like if I'm sorry, but if however you feel about the realness or the reality of Sasquatches, um, they're simian in nature, right? Just like us, fancy monkeys. But there's behaviors like, okay, get ready for the silliness. Um, I'm I'm 6 feet. I'm 5'18", and this sounds so menacing. And so, as a larger person, it's big mitts, right? And it's gorilla. A lot of when you imagine these larger creatures, they're going to fight more ape-like. So they're going to be pounding each other with fists and a lot of this grabbing and throwing because you got to figure they're really strong, as opposed to tight little movements and quick, fast, small movements. It's going to be rah, big stuff. Yeah, I hope that makes the fantastic, fantastic example. So So the colors will also help to distinctly separate the two, because of course I'm going to have them two different tones, but and also this covers up the fact that neither of them are wearing pants. Pants. So I want to push the lines on this leg a little bit more up inside here, just because, and the same for here, is that I want to get more sense of these two crashing together than the initial drawing did. Okay, so here's the quick and loose gist of the image, and then I'll throw some more blacks into it and in a moment. But I want to get a couple of more guys in and around them in the background. I don't know which pen was a good one though. So I can do a couple things. One is I can start penciling them in, really loosely. Or another one is that I can start throwing, shapes, like little shape language here with these guys, where I've got what am I trying to say? Okay, well, look, if I initially start drawing them as their bodies are crashing in together in a light penciling, but the majority of it is I want to build that up with the watercolor. So Mariah says, "Gotta head out. We'll try to make it back." Oh, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate that. Okay, so with that in mind, I want to get into our dancing boys. So yeah, let's have some crashing. Let's put a guy crashing over here and throwing himself forward, kind of like an ape does. So hopefully that'll make some sense to folks, to the kids back home. And see, the the legs there. And then we'll have another guy who's doing his best. Hey, not in this place, fella. But I want to really push the curving of their forms and make them a little simian-like, right? Big apes, badly behaved young men. But I'm not going to color this in yet because I want to make sure that I've got additional players pretty much immediately around these two guys so that you get a sense of if it's a civil war, there's a bunch of parties involved. So I'm doing the same thing with just loose, scrabbly pencils here. Here's another fella charging forward. And then I'm going to have, why not have some chest beating maybe? No, let's not get into that nonsense. That's just it's too simian, right? To do that. But let's, a big guy here. And this guy we can have just a hollering, right? Get his feet in here. But the idea is that by drawing these guys in different scales and overlapping each other, I'm trying to example that there's more of them, that there's a number of kids at play here. So, so if I'm going to start to define some of these guys a little bit more. Debating on this one. Yep. Yeah, they get angry boy. Okay, so that's it. I got the gist of it, right? And then we'll add some more as we go. But first, let's get. But that's the bad pen. Be right back to chat in a second. So I'm really monkeying around with this one's face because I'm going to throw a lot of this in shadow anyways. And then like last time, I throw watercolor in. For a mystery ape like this, seeing so many of them fighting would be scary. Oh, seeing two of them fighting would be scary. Well, the way that I illustrated this Sasquatch book is that the idea of you see one, you're in trouble, right? Like just one of them is bad enough. There's good monkeys and bad monkeys. Anyways, just the idea of coming afoul of one of these crazy kids is, I think that make you reevaluate some things, that's for sure. Or should. Make this leg bigger. I am upset. That's what that one's saying. Oops, I'm sorry I left that up there. Well, is anybody... I don't, it's a loaded kind even asking this. Who believes in Sasquatches? And do you believe in magical Sasquatches, or do you believe in a possible undiscovered species of apes, highly sophisticated, intelligent apes? Think about how long ago it was that Diane Fossey did a proper study on the apes that she did. That wasn't that long ago, folks. Gorillas specifically, yes. I forgot to close the door of the studio. Hopefully there's not too much background noise. I'll go close that right now. I'm listening to This Must Be the Place, one of my favorite Talking Head songs, if not my favorite Talking Head song. You know, I'm high up in a chair. If I gotta step up and do it, whoa, sweet gang zuka. Well, we'll do some of that in a second. Yeah, I got the rough. Linda says, "Of course there's Sasquatch." And Chris says, "Undiscovered species for me. What about chupacabras?" Where I wanna be. Oops, I got the logo in the way. Let me move it. There you go. So I'm going to tighten up the inks in a few moments, but Chris says, "Yep, chupacabra. They exist too." Tell you one thing about these Sasquatches. World's best hide and seeker, huh? Reigning champions. So I gotta get this kid's other leg. I'm going to put the... Oh, there. Chris says, but in the south of Mexico, there are Nahuales. I think I got it. If I didn't pronounce it right, I apologize. These are people like wizards that can transform into animals. If you happen to hurt one, you can get attacked. There are many stories around these. And there's the sky, what is it? There's skin changers, I believe, in the American Midwest, where they can switch their appearances with other people, or they can turn into animals. There's those that have Thunderbird blood that apparently can turn into big birds. In North America, specifically mountainous regions, there's the Wendigo belief that comes from the Aboriginal Foundation. But it's if you eat human flesh, you start to crave it. Like you become like psychotically driven for more. But it greatly enhances you. And then, in some of those beliefs, you start to turn into something like this. Which is why there are groups that have said that Sasquatches stay away from them because they're possibly Wendigos. Which is interesting. But there's a video that came out in the last couple of years that was... Their hypothesis was that a lot of these major park areas in North America, specifically in the United States, that there's so many disappearances that are happening there, and some of the accounts of them are, some of the supposition is that it's Sasquatches trying to steal children and steal mates, which is really interesting. Boom, 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 boom. Stories like that are really compelling, really interesting. And the idea that we know everything and have discovered everything on this planet is boring. I mean, they just found a super squid, right? Last few years, they pulled a mega squid out of the water. And some of the things that people are figuring out with lobsters and all their mutations. It's really exciting stuff. Okay, so here's a couple more ill-tempered fellows. Now, the detail on them is going to be less because they're, in the distance, but this guy's throwing himself through the air. So I'm just thinking about where the light is. And so where the shadows are going to be. I'm just drawing these guys more directly than I have the ones in the foreground. I haven't filled in all the heavy blacks and stuff yet. Anyways, so you can see how it's starting to come together now with all these guys getting together, having a sing-song, I once heard an anecdote of a doctor doing social services in a town in the south. Other staff were afraid of the old man he cared for. This old man came injured. Later that week, a young man came injured to the same hospital. Suddenly, the old man disappeared from his bed and the other man as well. Doctor said that he heard a commotion outside. He went out and saw a big wolf or dog attacking the injured man. Allegedly, that young man attempted to kill the old man, the Nahuel, so he took revenge. Ooh. Ooh. Hey. Love it. That's awesome, Chris. That's an interesting. Okay, so I got to get a couple more. Whoops. Let's finish off some of this. And let's get a second arm. Now, we've got this. Okay, so there's a couple things. I got this circular shape up top, but I'm going to put a span across the back for the panel that these characters are jumping in and out of. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed some. The doctor fainted, and he was later told the truth about the old man being a Nahual, so he was not attacked when he saw the scene. Oh, my. If he'd been aware, could he have been in danger? I'm not sure how it works. Okay, so now that we've got some focus on the level of combatants, let's put a couple more guys in just to build up the complexity of the image. We'll put his arm up above him, right? So here's another guy back here. So we got to go. I have classes, need to drive now. See you soon. Bye. Oh, thanks very much for visiting. Take care, Chris. Okay, so here's a guy here. And we'll put another guy jumping over here. As he's jumping forward. And we'll give him this kind of a pose to show that this is a type of movement, which is sort of simian in nature, the whole leaping forward and bow-legged. I've got a little bit of it happening with this foot, so we're going to do the same sort of thing. And just pushing the shapes, right? And then in here, we'll put some more figures in. And then we'll get a little more shape language in there. Okay. Then I'm going to push this shadow right back. Right, brush, there we are. Gotta run out of water in this sucker. They don't last long. Yeah, I think that Sasquatches or something, we haven't figured out what they are, but there's got to be animals that are out here smart enough to stick away from us because we're stupid animals ourselves. Johannes' human identity should not be revealed. Oh, that's an interesting thing. There's an absolutely genius film called Ravenous, and I can't remember the lady that directed it. She's a brilliant. It's just an absolutely brilliantly directed film, and she didn't do much else. Like she was so sick and tired of the Hollywood machine immediately that she limited her output. But if you get a chance to see Ravenous, that puts into place. It's actually the Wendigo thing that it's talking about. But if you get a chance to see that, it's you won't be disappointed. So here's just some more shapes. Some more guys coming into play here. Like I said before, just to build up our numbers as they're all charging towards each other. And then we'll get a little more, refined in how I'm putting in some details here. But the idea is initially just to get down as much of it as I can. Am I still in? Yep. Okay. Just making sure I'm still in frame. Yeah, I like that. You can't know if somebody is if it is I'm mispronouncing it, I'm sure, and I apologize for that, but Huala, I think, is how I keep saying it anyways. Some big mitts, these kids. I'm trying to, by going so heavy with the dark lines and the dark shadows on these guys, is to push the other guys forward. Thanks for the story, Chris. Yeah, it's an awesome story. That is an awesome story. I learned something today. Boy, oh boy. Two, three, four, five. So these guys are gonna win. There's 4, 2, looks like 6. So these fellas might be in for it. It's all right. Maybe it's all right. I'm trying to give them little differences, like this guy's jacked. I'm really, I feel this is gonna, just, I don't know, something to talk to you for a moment. I feel completely unfettered right now in what I'm doing on a regular basis right now. Last year, I had this objective to try to do 365 pages in 365 days. And I was at 359, and I got pneumonia. And I would have been, if I'd stuck with it, I would have had 366 pages, unless I'd done any additional stuff. But the pneumonia sort of kept me from finishing off the objective. And yet I don't feel any sense of I failed to hit this objective I set for myself. Um, because, it's nothing to slouch about either, but the amount that I did get done. And yet, this year, I don't feel in any way that I need to, if I don't even do a page a day, I'm good with it. There's no part of me that this year feels like I have that sitting on me right now. And that's kind of liberating. Well, in fact, it is liberating, right? I've had some opportunities to talk to people about ways of doing story. I've had a few different chances to do some I'm trying to decide on what to do with the image. I think I'm going to do a solid frame up here and a frame on the sides. Okay, and then we've got the arc that's at the top, right? So now I get to be a little bit creative with the design. But what it lets me do is allow the next panel to sort of feed over top of here, and then I'll define where the bottom of this panel is. I don't know why I'm even bothering with the pencil here. Okay. So here is the field of battle. And I like the grass just sort of continues the hair, from the Sasquatches. And we're going to put some other pieces of spatter and things like that in the environment and make a little bit of a mess of it. And that way we're sort of, where did I put my toothbrush? There it is. Making it a little more interesting. Taking some of the water out of my these guys are dirty. So this is a watercolor, the same watercolor I've been using. Making it a dirty battlefield. A hot potato. Thinking about I want to fit some clouds through here, but I want to make sure that I, I don't want to interfere with this motif, right? So as I'm putting the clouds in, I got to place them in such a way, like for a background to sort of develop a larger scene, but I got to place them in such a way as to not interfere with what's going on below. So I think that I'm going to come in here. No, I don't want that one there. So I'm going to add these little, break the cloud down so it goes this way. It's important that the cloud doesn't interfere with what's going on in the foreground, but it's still it's a piece of the environment, right? But it doesn't take away from what's going on in the foreground. Just seeing what that, am I still on camera for you? Oh, what am I doing? I don't have to do that. Oh. Okay, so now I've got that solid lead pencil. Oh, it's really soft lead, isn't it? So just putting it in with pencil, and I'm going to come in with the Poscas and start pulling some light out of it, and then we'll do a little bit of framing around it, but. And then it just becomes cleanup, right? At this point, now I'm not going right to the bottom of the cloud because there's always a fringe of light bottom of clouds, even if they're dark storm clouds. But there's our first panel roughed in here. Oh yeah, we're at an hour. So the idea is to further on would be, I mean, I can draw another panel that tightens in on the core combatants of a thing. Or I can get into the reasoning of it, but I've sort of set up for myself in the first panel the ferocity of the engagement. And so it sort of sets the tone through the rest of things. Now, as far as it goes for the border on this panel, I can do that in Photoshop in a much nicer and cleaner way than I can farting around the ruler. And again, this is something that I talked to you about using our tools to our advantage, is that why in the world would I not do that? What do you think, monkey? Let's fight this guy. Oh, okay. How much water is in there? Nothing. So this dries, it'll be a lighter gray anyways. More water in that. There we go. If this is paradise, I wish I had a lawnmower. Music I'm listening to today, for those who don't know, is the Talking Heads. Okay, so we got to let that dry for a second. But that'll be a nice flat value for our skies. We'll start to get a little more crafty here with some of our textures, but dearest. What do you think?
Well, not so bad so far. We got two sides facing off against each other, the ones on the left and the ones on the right. Their names? I don't know.
Linda says the contrast between the lights and the darks are awesome. Oh, thanks, Linda. I'm about to make it a little more intense because some of the fun of being able to put in some fun little shapes and textures and makes things pop, right? Just to make it the clouds a little more interesting. But at the same time, we're going to be really punching up the foreground, so they're not going to steal everything from us. So it's just building up the different elements that sort of gets us to our whole composition here. But at the same time, we want to have some sort of sense of understanding about how our shapes work. So just if I can step back for a second, there's a line across here in this panel specifically. There's a line here, there's a line here, and there's a line here. So and at the same time, the shape language says there's a space here, there's the space in the center, and there's the space on this side. So when you factor in these different things, it draws our attention right there in the image. Even with the clouds divide the shape up. It's so in the planning of the image, you sort of want to get to where the focus is going to be in your image overall. It's just something to consider. Now, what are they fighting over? That's the question of the day. I'm leaning towards competition for tourism. These are the side that say, no, we stay in the shadows. But I want to meet people. No rules. It's our story. We can do whatever we want with it. These people are fascinated by the smell of tacos. These people, I want to stay away from tacos because they're pretty sure it's going to be bad for their diet. These guys want to answer the alluring nature call of hip-hop. These ones say the new music's for the birds. So hopefully we got some clouds happening here. Hopefully that's looking like clouds for our viewers and our readers of our story. We can build some more light into our clouds since we got this sort of smudged gray through the composition from the graphite and my dirty fingers. Hitting the white over top these areas punches a little bit, it gives us a little bit of shape with the light, and punches in some more form there. We could do the same thing with gesso or acrylic or ink, it's whatever tool you decide to use. Celty says they're usually such solitary beings too. You would think so. But the opportunity to liberal government incentives for, during the time of COVID, it's got them all rushing out to claim some money here. And hey, economic times are hard. Sasquatches cannot live on bananas alone any longer. This whole thing's because it's son wanting to borrow the car. How many outlandish ideas can I come up with during this stream? Music and tacos, fighting words. All right, there's our title. Thank you, Linda. There's our title. Music and tacos, fighting words. There you go. Linda, you're getting credit for that. All right, that's awesome. There's our title for the page. So let me see if I can zoom in a little more. On some of the details. hopefully some of these details in the clouds are starting to come through, so that when I come in with it really so as I'm doing this now in the clouds and starting to come out just some little enhancements for the cloud shapes. Nothing too dramatic, right? Ideally, that's going to make the clouds stand out from the sky. Ideally, hopefully it does. I got a really nice compliment from Lori today. She liked the page that I did today and said it looks like the kind of page it should have taken a week for the one that I posted today. That's really nice. So everybody feel free to continue to suggest more story ideas and things I'll do my best to give it a shot at. And you got friends that you think might enjoy it, let them know and welcome them to come and take part. So in the new book, the first page lists of all the pages that are in the book. The first page is made from suggestions by, and it lists all the people that utilize their suggestions for the pages that are featured in that book. Just a way of appreciating the interaction and engagement of folks. So I'm gonna, as we've got this all coming together now and have some sense to what we want to do here, I want to dirty the foreground up here and these crazy cats. So once I get into putting some more ink into these guys, this is just watercolor here. Just get it off of there. Anyways, as I get these guys darkened up here and there, I'm going to come in through with the toothbrush with the white on it and do some more of this sort of action like I've done here with the black watercolor, and just continue to dirty them up. They're messy fellas. So I'm continuing the hair motif with the watercolor now. So all of these scribbled lines that I did in the first place are either incorporated into the drawing or they disappear. With all the information that we're adding over top. So don't worry about that. If you're going to continue to build up an image, don't worry about all that stuff. Don't worry about the precise lines of plotting everything out and getting all your information in. It's sometimes it just ends up not mattering anyways. Oops, other way. And it says, I have visions of the person who made fun of Tim walking wakes up in a world where she walks the same way. Tim is my adult Austin son, who's recovering from a stroke. Let me read this through again and try to come to an understanding. A person made fun of Tim walking wakes up in a world where they walk the same. So let's say let's look at this as a suggested idea. How about a person who makes fun of the shortcomings of another wakes up with the same challenge? Does that sound fair? Autistic. He's recovering from a stroke. Linda, I'm so sorry to hear that. A person. Does that sound fair to say a person who makes fun of someone's challenges? I'm writing it down. Here, I'll pull this out. So see if this makes sense. A person who makes fun of someone's challenges. Whoops, almost dropped my palette in my lap. Wakes up the same situation. And that's from Linda. That's a great suggestion. A person really did this? Made fun of your son? The person deserves a beating. Anyways. And from the ranks say the tracks originally, Linda. This is the logic that I have. Yeah, I don't tolerate anybody making fun of, especially people in the spectrum. My oldest son. Here's an interesting thing. My oldest son, who is in the spectrum, he's high functioning. He's at his own apartment. He's for a number of years now with him and his cat, and his one of his friends bought a house, and they said, "Hey, let's the three of us, my son, the friend who bought the house, and an additional friend of theirs, let's the three of us move into this place so we can all save money." And of course, my initial thing was worry as a old dad, because he's in a stable environment and everything's good. And he's got his routines, and no, he's bound and determined to do it. So okay, we stand by his decision and be supportive, but we're ready for catching, ready for and even though he's almost 30, you still do that as a parent, and. Then we went and made spaghetti for them. Long story. He invited us over for lasagna, and then the night before we were going to come over to help him set up his new apartment, or his new part of the house, sorry. He invited us over for lasagna, and then the night before he calls us and say, so are you guys bringing the lasagna? And of course we didn't have time to make lasagna for the next day. So I said, well, how about spaghetti instead, Sean? That's easier. And then he says, that's great. Are you guys bringing the spaghetti? So, long story short, we made spaghetti for the guys in their new house. And his roommates put any concerns we had to ease. He's known these guys since they were teenagers. And they're just rock solid guys. So, yeah, really exciting stuff. Really exciting stuff. We have 5 kids, and all of our kids are, very different from one another, and are all fantastic in their own ways, and they're all putting their lives together as adults, and pursuing their ambitions, and are all doing it in their own ways, and couldn't be prouder. We parents worry. Oh, you bet we do. Doesn't matter how old the kids get. Still, my oldest is 32. My youngest is 21, and we're still concerned on equal measure for all of them. It's just what parents do. I got friends that they don't have biological children; they have their pets, and their concern level is just the same. A friend of mine is their cat got sick, and boy, oh boy, it was a whole thing. Well, anyways. So we got a lot of stuff put together here. I've just, at this point, I got to start to tighten it all up. We're nearly at an hour and a half. Linda says, Tim is my oldest. He's 53. 53, okay. My oldest is 32. But we got a whole bunch of stuff established here. I'll put, I got to let this settle a little bit. I keep working wet on wet, and I got to just calm down. Let it dry for a moment. But we've established the sort of structure of our page and how we're putting our information down. and then now it's just cleaning it up, tidying it up, and refining it. And then I get the next panel. I'm going to have two of the combatants just rolling around the ground, and and then we'll get into what the whole reason for all this is. One of my books, a thing I really enjoy doing is every time something over the top happens, I'd always have a person in the environment hold up a cell phone and go, click, take a picture of whatever was going on. There's a real part of me that wants to do that here. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, the page is going to be called Music and Tacos Fighting Words. So thank you, Linda, for that suggestion. Thank you, Malcolm, for the suggestion for the page. I think I'm going to sign off because my meter just went off saying, hey, check your blood sugar. So I better go do that. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I will be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. with my good friend Doug Rogers joining me here in the stream. And we'll be talking about, all kinds of cool stuff about art and talking about Doug's artistic journey and getting down into some of the ins and outs of what makes us tick. And Doug and I have been running the London Comic Jam here in town since 2015 at the Arts Project, a gallery in the city. And so we may do a little bit of drawing together at the same time as we're chatting. So we probably will. So tune in tomorrow for that, 2 p.m. EST. And then Friday, the one page that I will be doing is P&M, The Adventures of P&M Artist Studio. So tune in for that, folks. I'll be putting the post up for that tonight, I think, to say what time we're going to be doing stuff on Friday. We'll see. It depends on if it interferes with scheduling one for tomorrow as well. Either way, everybody have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks very much. Bye for now.